Welcome back to the Freelancer Just Do Rate, a short and sweet podcast you can enjoy whilst you're making cuppa. So over the years, I've had a few people ask me about growing your portfolio and how to do it without waiting for free. So before I dive into that, it's probably worth explaining what a portfolio is. If you are not familiar with it, it's going to look different for different freelancers. So some freelancers who are more of the creative visual side, so graphic designers, beauticians, hairdressers, anything where, and website designers, anything where you've got a visual example, they will either have a portfolio online or maybe even a printed book, depending on what they do, showing visually what they've created for previous people. Whereas if you are freelancing in a role that is less visual, so for example, things like coaches, consultants, VAs, you're less likely to have as many visual examples, but you might have case studies, testimonials, before and afters, anything like that. So lots of people think that if you are starting out as a freelancer, that you should be working for free to build up your portfolio. I personally think that if you're starting out as a freelancer, you can still charge for what you're offering. You just might find that you have to charge maybe the entry rate for the industry, or do things like welcome packages or beta rates. So maybe a lower price option when you're first going in, with the understanding with the client that once you've built up your experience, your prices will go up. So this is really important to build in. Otherwise, you can find yourself working at a very low rate for a very long time. So first of all, don't worry, you don't have to work for free when you're initially starting, but there are other ways of building up your portfolio without somebody else profiting from it. So when I say without working for free, it might be things that you would do that means that there's no client there getting loads of free work from you. So some of these options are dummy projects. So this is where, and this is harder to do for things like coaching or consultancy, but it's where you might create a dummy version. So this is easier for things like graphic design, photography, where you go and do your own project. So you create a logo for a company you just made up in your brain, or you might style a family member's hair or something like that and just ask them to come do it. And that would be for your portfolio. So these are things where there's no client benefiting from it, but you are able to create it without that. Another way of version is a sort of a grey area, which is mutual project collaboration. So for example, it could be say a hairdresser, a beautician, and a photographer all wanted to boost their portfolio. They might agree together to do some kind of photo shoot together. So the photographer gets some photos, the beautician's got photos of their makeup look that they've done, and the hairdresser might do, and the model themselves might also have done that for free to get some model shoots for their portfolio. The key thing with this is that everybody benefits and gets something out of it. If there's a situation where nobody's getting anything out of it, then that's not really a fair collaboration. But in this situation, all of the people involved all get things for their portfolio, but there's not a client there that is getting things for free. The other option is swapping services with people. So if there's another freelancer who has skills that you want and they will have either skills they want, you may want to discuss swapping services. Now, there's a few things I would mention with this. Firstly, get very clear on how much you're offering and that it's an equal swap. You don't want to be offering a lot more than they are offering or vice versa. You may also want to consider that you just pay each other for the services because it causes less issues. Sometimes when you have service swaps, that makes it less of a priority for the freelancer or either side. So sometimes just paying each other up front is a much better way of doing it, and it causes less issues. But it can be really good if you have a great relationship with that person and you both have a very clear understanding of what's expected and deadlines in particular when you want to get it done by. So basically growing your portfolio can be a mix of working with people at perhaps a reduced or entry level rate, dummy projects where you're creating ideas, as long as you're not doing things like creating case studies and passing them off as real. you need to make it clear that that's not the case. Mutual collaborations and projects where you work with other freelancers and you all work on something where you all get something for your portfolio. And then swapping services is another way of doing it as well. So those are some of the best ways to do it. The other ways, so I'd love to know if you found any. And going along to networking events and things like that is also a great way to meet people who can help you grow your portfolio as well. Oh, and that's another thing. Testimonials and things like that, they can come from talks that you've done. They can come from social media posts that you've shared, or even feedback you've had from a newsletter. So they can come in all sorts of different ways. I'd love to know if you found a clever way to grow your portfolio while still getting paid, or at least not working for free. Come on over to the Facebook group or the Discord, the Freelance Lifestylers. You can find the links in the blurb. And I hope you have a wonderful freelance week.